Hello? Who's this? Donna Chang? Oh, I'm sorry, I must have dialed the wrong number.
Donna Chang?
I should have talked to her. I love Chinese women.
Isn't that a little racist?
If I like their race, how can that be racist?
So this is Louis, and I was wavering on whether to actually record this commentary or not, but I thought I'd at least give it a shot. And that is going to be a commentary on the Saints Row reboot, which I had no idea was being developed, but they just released a trailer for it. So I actually have quite a bit that I could say about this. I don't know if I'll remember, all the things that I want to say, but I've played the Saints Row franchise since the second game. I know the context of the first game, but I never played it because I think it was exclusive to Xbox way back when it actually existed. I played some of it, I want to say, at some point, but I mostly started the franchise with the second game. And the second game appears to be the favorite of everyone. I liked the second game the best. I had a good friend of mine who, we shared a mutual interest in the franchise. The second game for him was his favorite. And for a lot of you, I think it's true for you as well, that the second game was a favorite for just about everyone. That seems to be the sort of general vibe that I get from just about everybody. So that's why I say that. However, I'm not against the third game. I'm not against the fourth game. I'm not against the direction that they chose to go in, but it was very controversial at the time. A lot of people wanted Saints Row 3 to be equally as serious as the second game. The second game had jokes and levity and that, but there was a lot of elements to the second game that made it serious and sort of invested you in the characters and the story and all that sort of thing, and a lot of people enjoyed that aspect. With the third game, it focused on the humor, it focused on the levity and absurdity of the universe, and it sort of brought you from being in the streets to creating like a brand and a franchise, and the boss going from established to basically on the top of the world, dominating multiple international criminal syndicates and being on the top of the world. The fourth game took that and made it even more extreme, where you're the president and there's an alien invasion. And the issue with the fourth game was they had written themselves into a corner. They had pushed the universe to the most extreme that they could. So there was no way to top that game. It had jumped the shark. There's nothing that they could have done to top what they did in Saints Row 4. So I am not surprised in the least that they're rebooting the franchise. While people are giving them a lot of grief for doing that, I am honestly not against the idea of a reboot. Because in my view, they had a choice to make after Saints Row 2. They went in the direction they did. That was a long time ago. And they reached the conclusion of that franchise. They pushed it to the most extreme they could. And they were done. In my view, the fourth game was the finale. And if you want to continue on with the Saints Row franchise, you're going to have to reboot it. You just have to. So I'm not against the reboot, because in my view, that's the only thing they could have done with what they did with Saints Row 4. However, I think that isn't really the problem that a lot of people have, because it seems like this is an extremely controversial reboot. I was actually surprised by the level of negative attention that the trailer got. I watched it about 2 days after, or maybe the next day after I heard the announcement. It was at Gamescom or something. And I went on the trailer on YouTube, and I was like, wow, it's like there's a lot of people upset by this. So I watched it, and I was like, well, I understand why people don't like the graphical design of it. It looks really, really cartoonish, even more so than the last two games. So I honestly understand why people dislike that direction that they're taking. It seems kind of lazy, and a lot of people say it looks like Fortnite, and I agree with that. It looks a lot like Fortnite. and they signed an agreement with Epic, so it's an exclusive on Epic. So I'm honestly probably never going to play this fucking game. So bear that in mind. I haven't played anything that's been on Epic. I've never installed Epic. I'm very likely never going to. So this game being on Epic just means I'm probably never going to play this game. There's a stronger chance that I play it on PlayStation 4, maybe. But even then, I prefer not to. I prefer to play on PC. And so chances are I'm just not going to play this game until like 2024 or whenever it comes out on Steam. So I would say that I have a fairly objective point of view when it comes to this game. Because while I have enjoyed the games in the past, I didn't really care either way if another game came out. I didn't really have much investment in another sequel to Saints Row. Because it seems like that franchise and Grand Theft Auto are just kind of done. I mean, Jesus Christ, we should be on Grand Theft Auto 7 by now. But here we are, where I don't even know what the hell's going on with that franchise. I don't know what Rockstar's working on. And when it comes to Volition, they came out with Agents of Chaos, Agents of Discord, whatever, Agents of Mayhem. And it bombed. It totally bombed. So it's just really strange that they seemingly have learned nothing from that failure. But in all honesty, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's another woke company. And I've seen a lot of people passing around information that they've come up with from interviews and that sort of thing, that Volition is woke now. I mean, to me, it's like, okay, well, name a fucking developer that's not woke. Name one. Find me one. I'm not aware of any. That's not some, like, indie fucking dev with some half-assed, indie game that comes out that people praise for 3 months before they drop it and move on to something else, and 5% of the people who were sucking its dick didn't, 5% actually finished it. That seems to be the way of things in gaming right now. So like people go, oh my god, this game is so good, and like no one finishes it. So yeah, when it comes to the Saints Row reboot, I could live with the setting, I could live with the more cartoonish design of it, but it's the woke aspect that I think that is really going to sink it. I am surprised at the sort of weird angle that they're taking on this, that it's not your traditional, hood off the street that starts a gang or joins a gang and then takes over like it was with the boss from the first game, where they join the gang, they move up and sort of take over the gang in the second game, and then they're basically starting a brand in the third. It's really weird the direction they're taking. People are comparing it to Watch Dogs 2, and I agree. There seems to be like a really odd amount of similarities to it, to where you're a criminal and you're basically starting some sort of entity, but it's just sort of not your sort of average street gang. That sort of aspect to it has been kind of like abandoned. It's really strange, and maybe that's false. Maybe this is your standard open world Empire system sandbox gang game, but they're not really portraying that. And there's not really much information as to the sort of Empire aspects to this game, like what is the actual gang building system in this game. They haven't really shown much at all about what that is. They've just shown your crew and the new stand-in for the boss, who is like this woke, flat-chested dyke, It's bad, and I know why people are really put off by it, but it's kind of like, I don't really know what anyone expects at this point, because it is just every dev. It is every developer in the industry now. I can't think of any at all, that are not like this at this point. It is like a very small handful, and the ones that are not fully woke are half woke. You can cite Activision, the different developers that work for Activision. Like, they're half woke. They're not fully woke. You could say that about maybe Rockstar. if even that. But it's like, most devs are woke. And the negative reaction that people have to that, it's kind of like, well, I don't really know what people are expecting at this point. Because it's just every dev, you know? I expect it from every developer now, that you're going to have this woke crap in it. And, you know, the problem is just a matter of, well, how much is the woke shit that is going to be in this game, that is in every game, how much is it going to weigh down the game? It's going to. The question is, to what extent, how much is there, you know? That's really the pertinent question that I think a lot of people want answered, but the backlash seems to be that they're not going back to the style of Saints Row 2, where you are an off-the-block, you know, off-the-corner gangster that runs their own gang, and are taking over the city and that sort of thing. Which, I mean, you wouldn't really have much to compete with in the current marketplace if you were to just make that game. I don't really think there is much to compete with in that regard. There's not really very many remaining open world gang third-person shooter Empire system games. Like, there's not really much left. So there really wouldn't be much to compete with. But the fact is that the developer just quite obviously doesn't want to make that game. You know, they have trapped themselves into the mindset of chasing after a different audience, a phantom audience that doesn't exist. They and every other developer in the industry has been doing this for years and years. And they, too, are in that same position, where they are chasing after some audience to play this game that 95% of the audience is going to be just men. You know, it is going to be men, disproportionately white men, that are going to play this game, and yet they're chasing after an audience for this game that simply does not exist. They don't seem to care, from what I understand, that there is a backlash. I mean, I'm not even sure how to put it, but they're standing by the direction that they're taking with the franchise, with this new reboot. I will grant them the fact that they haven't really shown off much of anything past the virtue signaling in the trailer and just sort of like CGI crap. We're being introduced to the setting, one of the gangs, your crew, and the new woke boss. That's as much as they're showing off, and they're only hinting at some small things of the universe. Part of the universe is apparently an arms dealer. They show off that when they shoot the stupid rockets, that arms dealer has some sort of role in the game, but outside of that, we don't really know much. And so it's kind of hard to form an opinion on the game itself outside of the limited aspects that they've shown. And considering how far along they are in development, according to them, you would expect them to show off a little bit more than they have. But I suppose that in the next year that they have to release the game up until they delay the game, which every developer now does, that they could probably give us a lot more information as it relates to the universe. But there is no real way in which that you could really protest them doing what they want with the franchise. There's nothing you could do. The fact is that unfortunately the way that development is now, so long as these developers can constrain their budgets to some degree and just sign exclusivity deals and get investors. I mean, you look no further than Remedy in releasing bomb after mediocre bullshit, game, and then another after another, just games that I see released that they advertise that I'm like, I don't give a fucking shit about this game. I don't see any aspect to this game that makes me in any way interested to play it. And yet they continue. They continue on. And I can't imagine these games are selling that well. And yet somehow they can still keep on going. Volition is just going to be another studio like that, where they put out games that I'm not interested in, that as far as I can tell, most people aren't interested in. But because they have exclusivity deals with Epic or Microsoft or whoever, they can just keep putting out crappy games like this that no one's going to fucking play, that no one gives a fuck about. Some of these developers don't really need to retain their customer base. Like, they don't really care. They're going to make however many millions on release because zombie buyers are going to buy this game, and they have whatever money's coming in from whoever they're making a deal with. Like, that itself is enough for them. And they don't care if you're not interested in their game. They don't care if you're like, oh, I'm the biggest Saints Row 2 fan, fuck you. They don't care. That's just the way that it is now. They will exist in this sort of like AA, oatmeal level where they just pump out these games that no one really cares about, that are in no way innovative or interesting or do anything, they're just stuck there. And maybe that's where they want to be. So long as they can get millions of dollars pumped into their company for different deals that they make with different companies, they don't really need an audience. It's not required, and there's no incentive for them to really try to win over their existing audience if they can make these $1 million deals, They would make just as much money by selling a game that you want. I mean, Ubisoft hasn't given a shit about their own fan base in a decade, and they're still making frickin' billions selling these sequels. If they can do it, Volition can do it. The only difference is the number of fans and the number of zombie buyers, the number of people that are going to buy the game irrespective of how good or bad or true to the franchise it is or not, or any other factor. It doesn't matter. That is the gaming industry. And I think that people just got to wake up to that fact. People got to wake up and realize that the state of the industry is what it is, and nothing in this world can change it. There is no changing it. If you want to change it, start your own fucking studio. That is it. Because simply, there is no shifting direction anymore. There is no means by which to change course. It's one of the reasons why I don't really commentate on gaming anymore. I really don't. On a stream, maybe I'll give you a comment here or there. I'll offer you an opinion now and again. But I don't really do very many commentaries on gaming for the reason that, as I've titled the playlist, The Death of Western Gaming, like, we're at the end. This is done. This whole thing is done. I'm not really surprised when there's going to be endless Ubisoft sequels, there's going to be endless Call of Duty sequels, because there's enough zombie buyers to buy those games, and that's it. All of the innovation has been run out of this industry, because the fact of the matter is that the developers, the managers, the publishers, they hate their audience. They don't want men to be the audience of gaming. They want it to be women and blacks and whoever else, trans people. That's who they want to be their audience. And when you're not pursuing games that you think are going to be popular or fun or, do something different, when that isn't really your pursuit, then you're just going to basically copy off of the things that already exist. And the most innovation you're going to have are like the tech demos that we've seen when, the PlayStation 4 came out. It's going to be just tech demo games where the most innovative thing you do is, wow, look at the graphics. That's been the most innovation that's been done in 15 years. It's been just that kind of thing of tech demo releases. But aside from that, it's just the same shit being made over and over. And The people that are doing shit that's innovative are either indies or a handful of double A's that are trying but just don't have the talent necessary to sort of get over the hurdle and become AAA. Like, it just doesn't happen anymore. I don't know whether it's just that the talent has been chased out of the industry, or people have just given up, or, you know, it's just the oppressive nature of management. You know, I don't know what the fuck it is. But unfortunately, in Western gaming, all that there is stagnation. And the best you can hope for is that a developer, say for like, Far Cry 6, I'm thinking it's coming out. The best you can really hope for is that they've sort of like kept the same formula, and that the game's good because of that. That, you know, maybe they had good writing this time, or good voice acting, or, you know, whatever. But it's just the same game, the same formula, the same sort of deal. Just a new setting, new skins, you know, new narrative maybe, you know, new voice actors, but it's just the same thing. You know, it's another sequel. And you just kind of cross your fingers and hope for the best. And that's really all that you can do. At some point, if a game releases that is worth a shit, maybe then I'll give you a commentary like, hey guys, I played this cool game that is not fundamentally flawed, and I finished it actually. You guys should pick it up. You know, maybe Baldur's Gate 3, when they actually finish the fucking thing, maybe then I'll do a commentary on that and tell you how much, oh, I like this game, and you should go buy it, you know, in 2026 when they fucking finish it. But until then, it's like there's not a whole lot going on. Like, I'm going back and playing old-ass games from, like, 2014 and shit. Aside from that, I'm just, you know, things are how they are. But in any case, I will leave it there. Thank you for listening.